Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Man, did I have a busy day yesterday. I'll tell you all about that here in just a minute. I thought I'd start off with a tune, an original tune, and I know I've done this before, but only once or twice, I'm sure, maybe 3 or 4 times, who knows. Over the 10 years, it's hard to tell. But this is one I rarely ever do. And I thought I'd play it on my parts guitar. For those of you who don't know, this guitar was put together out of spare parts. And they're all parts I made. It's just parts that I decided not to use on like customers' guitars. But I just threw them on the shelf. They were too good to throw away, but not quite good enough to put on a customer's guitar, if you will. So I put them all together and made this, and the top is made out of a piece of wood I salvaged out of probably an late 1800s piano, upright piano. Never do that again. That was a pain in the neck, big time. This one's called This Time I Failed. My heart is broken while yours beats strong. You say you're right, but I think you're wrong, and time will tell a sorrowful tale, how I tried to love you, but you made me fail. This time I failed. Did you plan it that way? You owe me that much. So what have you to say? This time I failed. Are you playing a game? This time I failed. 'Cause you gave back my name. You never seemed cold till that final day when you stared straight ahead and had nothing to say. The judge decided, and you turned to me, and then I saw a side of you that I never had seen. This time I failed. Did you plan it that way? You owe me that much. What have you to say? This time I failed. Are you playing a game? This time I failed. 'Cause you gave back my name. Oh, this time I failed. 'Cause you gave back my name. Oh, not too bad for a parts guitar. Listen to it. It's got a pretty good chime. I don't know if that's... This mic is not easy to pick up on, so I don't know if it's picking that up or not. Boy, it chimes. Anyway, lay that down out of the way. I think I have more varied topics today than ever. And that's saying a lot, because there's been a lot of them that's had a lot of varied topics. But I think we're going to top it today for sure. All right. So first question is, how many of you went ahead and watched that shellac video? I'm interested to hear your comments on that. To me, that blew me completely away. Here, this I mean, this gal was, I don't know how old she was. I'm going to guess she was probably in her 30s or 40s or something. And she's climbing this tree up there like 20 foot up and knocking out insect poop, basically is what it amounts to, bug poop, onto the ground, then collects all this stuff. And then they have to refine it and refine it and refine it. And then you get to eat it later. I thought that was one of the most interesting videos on how shellac is made. Shellac's pretty common, you know, and I guess the question I have is, how many generations after that gal that you saw climb that tree, how many generations are going to be doing that afterwards? I mean, you got to remember, the newer generations, they've got smartphones, or at least some of them do. And more of them all the time are getting smartphones. I don't see them climbing those trees. I'm seeing the shellac industry drying up after not too long in the future. I can't picture more than another generation or two. Who's going to work that hard to make that darn shellac? It's crazy. To me, that blew me away. And then the way they made it into those big sheets and just nuts. Absolutely bonkers nuts. That's one industry there that you're talking about some crazy amount of work. If you didn't see the video, I think you're missing out. That to me was a great video. Well, my phone has got issues yet again. Oh, well, it washes out. Let me see if I'll turn it off. Can you see the line down the phone? That just started yesterday. I have no idea why. It just decided it needed to give me more trouble. And now the other two weren't the phone's fault. I mean, I broke the screens the other two times. Well, actually, the one time it fell down in that chair and the chair broke it. I didn't know it had fallen down in there. One time I broke it and the other time the chair broke it. And now I don't know what to do about that. This was the first time when I bought this screen. It was the first time I've ever bought insurance. So do I turn that into insurance? I don't know. Anyway, aggravating. I got a new book. It's called Bullets and Cartridges of the Civil War. And it's a pretty darn good book. You can see the few pictures on the back. And it's just loaded with pictures. The whole thing's just completely full of pictures. And yes, I did find all of the bullets that I found here are in here. I was specifically thinking I wanted this book. I was hoping they would have a picture of the Fitch Van Vecht bullets that I found. They look a whole lot like this bullet right here. That's like a Sharps, I think it is. Well, let me read it and see if it tells me. Spencer cartridge. That's what I meant. I didn't mean Sharps. I meant Spencer. That's a Spencer cartridge there, and that's what I think I'm finding. Now, mine were made by Fitch Van Vecht. Nowhere in this book did I find a mention of Fitch Van Vecht, but you can find it online, and definitely they did make bullets for the Civil War. And that's what mine say on the end of them, says FV&V. I think it says Co. FV&V Co. I think is what it says. Something very similar to that, if that's not exactly right. But anyway, I thought this book, I bought it because I thought that would be helpful here as I find more bullets in the future to identify what I'm finding. See, that's wishful thinking. See, then I'm going to find more. Well, I had a very long day yesterday. I started at 6 a.m., with getting ready for the vlog and getting videos ready and stuff like that. And then I worked until 9 o'clock last night before I stopped working, if you will. And some of it was, you might not consider it working, a little bit of metal detecting in there, for instance, but I was doing something the whole time from 6 till 9 p.m. So the first thing I did after the vlog yesterday morning was I repaired Leon's guitar. You've probably seen the video I put out on that. And we'll move on to the next thing. As soon as I got that repaired, I didn't produce the video at that point. I shot the video, I repaired his guitar, and then I instantly started building the culvert grate for putting in front of that big culvert pipe. So once I got that fabricated, well, then I had to clean out the pipe, and because that front edge there is actually what happened. Again, it's just that Rosa luck thing. I was very careful about the fall on the pipe, and I put about a 1/8 inch fall all the way from one end to the other. But as my luck goes, the end where the opening where the water goes in, that sunk down a little bit more, just from the road weight and gravel and stuff, and apparently it wasn't packed enough under it or whatever. So basically it goes in up a little bit, just a tiny bit. I'm exaggerating it. It goes up just a little bit. So that's where the rock and stuff is accumulating. And then it goes over, and it's got to fall the rest of the way 1/8 inch per foot, which is fine. The rest of it's perfectly fine. So the first 6 feet there is where the problem is. It's just typical luck. I could dig it back up and fix it, but gee whiz, what a pain in the neck, So anyway, so I put I dug all that out. I put the grate over it, and here's a little short video of that grate.
Well, my friends, I mentioned in this morning's vlog that I had to do something about this pipe. This stuff keeps washing down. It's amazing how much washes down. That's what I cleaned out the last time, and that's a lot more there than it looks like. I dug down a pit below this, and it's already filled up, and it's already run inside the pipe. So I'm going to have to clean the pipe out again. But I have made this grate, and I'm going to drive the grate in with the sledgehammer, and it'll cover the end of that pipe. And I might slip a piece of mesh wire behind this, between this and the pipe also. And I think I will, because I think this fine gravel, you can see the very fine gravel, is just going to go through here anyway. And then that mesh will keep all but the very finest gravel from going through. And the finest gravel will wash on out. I'm not too worried about that. Anyway, I'll show you what it looks like here in a few minutes once I clean out the pipe. Well, I think you can see that I dug out quite a bit more. You can see that's all wet. And some of these rocks are pretty big. They were up inside the pipe. And so I dug down below the pipe here too. And it's time to drive this thing in place. I'll go ahead and drive it in place, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's what it looks like after being driven in place. I think that's going to solve a big part of my problem. I think the little stuff will wash on through, and if it doesn't, if I see this is still a problem, I'll address it, I'll fix it. But right now, I'm going to leave it like this. There's no point in doing more than you have to do, and this may be enough. I'm not putting a mesh behind it because I'm afraid that's just going to fill up with leaves. And then you just got a problem there. It's going to clog up and run over the top of the driveway. And you can see the leaves pile up here a lot. So leaves are a real problem. I'm hoping this will either allow a few leaves to go through, or if they pile up here, I can easily grab them and pull them out of there. So I don't know. We're just going to try it. You never know until you know. And so this is my first effort. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and after I put that grate in there, and I put it in vertically on purpose because I thought, I'll be getting in there digging out the gravel and stuff that fills that pit up all the time and keeping that cleaned out. And, going up and down with the shovel, that grate won't catch on the shovel. If I had turned it sideways, the grate would catch the shovel. So I that's the reason I turned it vertical. But then having thought it out a little bit more, having it sideways might have been better for the leaves. It would have let some of the leaves pass through, I think. But better, because I don't think they're going to pass through on the vertical, because those leaves are coming down generally floating relatively flat. And so I may have a real problem with leaves filling that up. But, It is what it is. There's no perfect solution for that problem right there. And it's way worse than you think it is. Trust me. One rain fills that hole up. I mean, like, I can have the hole dug down a foot below the pipe, and one rain fills that completely full and washes it into the pipe already. One rain. It's crazy. So it's a never-ending problem that I see there, and I don't know how to solve it other than, if I had that whole ditch as a culvert, like maybe concreted and, a swale, that might slow it down a little bit. I'd still get leaves, but at least I wouldn't get all the gravel and rock. I don't know. It's just not simple. It's never been easy being me, and nobody believes me. You still don't believe me, but it's the truth. Let's see. So anyway, after I got, after I did the vlog yesterday, fixed the guitar and did all that grate and clean out the pipe and install the grate and all that good junk, then I took a short lunch. Then I produced the video on Leon's guitar. So basically, I don't know, I started eating lunch about 11. So about 11:30, I started working on producing the video. Got that video out. After I got that video out, then I decided, man, the sun's come out. It's a beautiful day. I better make that Badger video on that Badger electric mower. So I went out and, the grass had grown pretty tall there in the front yard. Now, with this new electric mower, and those of you who didn't see it, I guess, I featured it in a vlog 3 or 4 days ago, and I only just briefly showed what it was and that it actually did cut. Well, I got to be honest, and this is the truth, my expectations were about that big. I mean, I didn't expect anything out of this thing. I really didn't. First of all, when you first feel it, you think, boy, that thing's really light. It's plastic, everything's plastic on it. The blade is steel, of course. And, it's got a 40-volt battery. So my expectations were, on a scale of 1 to 10, my expectations were about a 2.5 to a 3. I mean, that's all I was expecting. If I would have given it 2.5 stars out of 10, that would have been a lot. That's what I expected. Well, in my brief little use of it in that previous video that you saw, that raised it up to maybe a 4. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a 4, So then I thought, well, I'll cut the left half. Well, from inside the house, it would be the left half. If you're facing the house from outside, it'd be the right half of the front yard because the sidewalk cuts the yard in half. So I was going to, anyway, do the side of the yard that's closest to the driveway and closest to the rental apartment. So, and that's not very big. So I thought, well, if I get that done, I'll be reasonably impressed that it'll cut that much. Well, it didn't have any problem with that. I cut that all just completely, 100%, no problems at all. So then on the video that I'm producing, I say to the camera, well, it cut that no problem. I wonder if it'll cut the other side. Now, the other side's almost twice as big as the first side. And I thought, I doubt it'll get through that. Got through it, no problem at all. And the cool thing that I noticed was that, and I thought it was the battery failing or something when I first heard this. I really thought, we got a problem. I'm pushing it pretty fast. I did not baby this thing. I pushed it. I was walking about as fast as I could walk, cutting the grass. And when it would hit the higher, thicker grass, the motor would rev up. And when I first heard that, I thought, something happened. It's not good. But then I noticed it did that every time I got into the heavier grass, and especially if I was pushing it fast into the heavy grass, the motor would rev up. Well, I thought, well, that's cool. It's really cool that it senses the power it needs somehow, and it revs it up to match the power required. That blew me away. I mean, that one there floored me. I just did not expect that at all. So then I got that whole thing cut. So now I've got the whole front yard cut with that little electric mower. It's only an 18-inch wide mower. So I thought, well, let's look at the battery and see how, where the battery's at, because I figured it'd be completely dead. It still had 2 bars left. So I was blown away. So I tell Sue all this. So she says, well, good, I want to use it. So she took it and she took it up to the rental retreat, and it's got a tiny little front yard there too, but it's on a real steep hill, and it's awkward to get the tractor in there. She says, I'm going to use it up there. And I said, fine. So she took it up there with just the 2 bars. She finished that. She cut that little bit, and that was pretty small. Well, it's almost as big as the small half of my front yard here, almost that big. So she cut all that. She brings it back, so I take the battery out of it, and I'm thinking, well, let's see how many bars the battery still has. It still had 2 bars. So I put the battery on the charger there, and, that was the last we did with it, but I'm impressed. That thing's legit. I truly thought, oh, this thing's just a piece, it's just a toy, is what I first thought. It's not a toy. It's definitely not a toy. Do I think it's an answer-all for everybody's lawns? No, not at all. I think if you've got a small lawn and you want to keep it cut on a regular basis and you don't want to hassle with oil, gas, trying to get a motor to start from one year to the next, all those hassles you have with a gasoline engine, this thing's legit, man. I mean, seriously legit. I already put it on the products I use page because I like it. I really do like it. I think I'm going to use it. Now, I'm not going to plan to use it up in the real tall, big, heavy weeds and stuff, but places where I've already brush hogged, and yet the brush hog only cuts like 6 inches tall, so you can't get down to the ground with a brush hog. So I'm thinking I'll take this thing through there and drop the grass down some more. At least that's my plan right now. It may not hold up to that, but I'm going to try it and see how that works. I'll let you know down the road. So, that way I can metal detect it better, back there in those house place areas. Moving on. Anyway, I'm definitely seriously impressed with that little electric mower. I did not expect anything out of that thing. And I would now rate it a 7 or an 8. And the only reason I don't rate it a 10 is because I still have my doubts. I mean, but a 7 or an 8's not a bad rating when you expected it to be a 2. So that's pretty good, really. All right, moving on. Let's see. Then I gathered up the drone. After that, I thought, well, it's time to get that drone and get up there on top of the hill and make the video. Well, somebody else had different thoughts on that because that did not go as planned either. I had everything I needed. At least I thought I did. I get it. So I didn't bother testing it down here because I thought, well, I got everything. It's always worked before. I've never had any problem making it work, once I got all the parts. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I'll probably sneeze again because it feels like it. Anyway, so I get up on top. Excuse me. Anyway, I get up on top of the hill with all the parts. Get it down, get everything started, and the software is not on my phone. Now, it's always been on my phone. But then I remembered maybe the last time I used it, I had that different phone. So what I was thinking was maybe the software didn't transfer over. Now, all the other software transferred over, but I could not find that software on my phone anywhere. So then I thought, well, I'm still up on top of the hill. I had a good phone signal, so I said, well, let me just check the Play Store and find the app, and I'll download it. I searched that app store upside down, sideways, every way I could search it, and I found 2 or 3 drone apps that were DJI-type drone apps, but they all were pay by the month or pay by the year. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. So my only thought is that I haven't investigated. I just dropped it. I was so aggravated, I just dropped it. And so there's 2 thoughts I have right now. One of them is that it could be that the original drone software is not compatible with this new smartphone. And that's a possibility. This Google Pixel 7 Pro is a little bit particular with some software. So it could be just that. It could just be simply that it's not compatible. And that's why I can't find it on the App Store, because it won't find apps that aren't compatible with it. So anyway, it could just be that. But then it's also possible that DJI has got the greed thing going on. Speaking of that, and I forgot to put that on the list, this is one more thing. I did put a short video link to the HCA, which is Hospital Care of America, I think it is. It's a clip that a guy put together, and you want to talk about greed in America and why healthcare costs are so much, you need to watch that video. It's a link in the description of this video, so check it out. If you're interested in that kind of thing, this one's an eye-opener big time. And the guy that made the video said, and that's what he does. He makes those kinds of videos. And he said, this one, of all the videos I've made, this one's the one that made me the maddest. He said, this one here really made me mad. So anyway, with that, if you're interested in that kind of thing, check it out, because it is to the max. Oh, it's pitiful. It's just absolutely pitiful. Makes you just want to, I don't know. It just, you somehow rebel, but we don't have any options. We can't rebel, It's pitiful. Just plain pitiful. Anyway, so the drone thing just sat on the shelf after that. I'm just so fed up with the darn thing. I don't know what to do. So then I was just going to come back in the house and mope, basically. And just about the time I got back in the house, well, a longtime viewer of the channel, Chip Wood, showed up. And the wife called me, says, you got a visitor down here. So I went down to the shop, and Chip was down there. We had a nice long discussion and a nice long talk. And I showed him the bit of the water wheel that I had done. I showed him my sawmill and, just a few things around there. And we were talking, showed him some of the artifacts I found. And I ended up giving him one of the Allen Dust sanders. Alan had sent me 3 of them, and I just gave one of them to Chip there. And so he got that. And then he made another cash donation for the 6-string heroes. And anyway, so that was really nice of him. And anyway, he stayed on, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so, and then he took off. Well, then I thought, I got sidetracked, and I had fully intended to have that check written for the 6-string heroes already, but I guess it was meant to be since Chip came and made another little donation. So I included Chip's amount in the check also, and then I also remembered that Robert Herr had sent me a cash donation via letter, and it had gotten covered up in paper on my desk here, and the cash donation was there too. So anyway, I found that in time, and so I got that included. So I wanted to give you the latest update on the actual total, because the total went up a little bit. Not a lot, but it went up a little bit. It was at 4,100 yesterday, and now it's at 4,145. And I've got the check written there, and the check was supposed to be in the mail yesterday. I had planned to put it in the mail. Our mail doesn't come till late in the day anyway, so it wasn't like a big rush. So I went back to the letter that they sent me, and nowhere on that letter is there an address of any kind that I can see. Again, I'm not a very good reader, but I've read it 2 or 3 times. I don't see an address. So I called the lady that's on there and left her a message and said, where do you want me to send this check? So I'm waiting on her to reply, so I haven't heard back. So that was just yet another one of those frustrating things yesterday that didn't get finished. Let's see. Moving on down. After that, by this time, it's getting pretty late in the day, so I ate a quick sandwich for supper. Then I decided to go metal detecting. And I that was the most frustrating day of metal detecting I believe I've ever had. I guess because I had my expectations high and I was already aggravated with everything else. So that kind of bled over to the aggravation of not finding anything, and I didn't find nothing. I mean, I found all kinds of stuff, but nothing of any value whatsoever. I mean, it was just frustrating all the way around. It was just like insult to injury. So that didn't go well. So after I got done aggravating myself not finding anything metal detecting, I came in, and by this time it's like, I don't know, 7:30, I guess. 7, something like that. And I started editing the video on the Badger electric lawnmower that I created or took yesterday. And I worked on that till about 9 o'clock or 9:15, somewhere in there. Then I relaxed. And here we are. And all that, and I'm sure you just wanted to hear all of that. Anyway, let's see. DE was the first one to chime in this morning, and then there's Lester Cunningham and Brian Byler and Rod Wintler and Dottie Hildebrand, and I'm looking for question marks. She says, hello, Dottie says, hello, kids. I'm going to come on early, but I have to leave. Another doctor's appointment. Well, God bless you, Dottie. Hope everything goes good. She says she's praying for my hands. Well, I was debating on whether to even mention this or not. I guess I will since you said that. They hurt. I mean, like this. They woke me up at 3 this morning. I was sleeping pretty soundly, and I woke up kind of almost, not quite screaming, but like, ow, 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 ow. The hands were just hurting so bad, and they're still hurting really bad. I don't know if it's the weather. The weather had changed so much. I might have something to do with it. But I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like I've run out of the meloxicam. Generally speaking, if I don't take the meloxicam for 4 or 5 days, it takes about 3 to 4 days before I start really feeling it. That's what it feels like. It feels like the meloxicam has run out. So I don't know how much the meloxicam is doing for me right now, but I'm telling you, these things hurt. All right, moving on down. Dottie says, good morning, Jeff. How are you? Okay, and then let's see. Bill Webb. I tried to watch the crack repair video, but I fell asleep. Now I got to go back and watch it again. Well, I know I'm boring. Gee whiz. You don't have to tell everybody else that I'm boring. I'm teasing Bill. Bill and I are good buddies. He's been up here a bunch of times. Let's see. Dottie Hildebrand, watch the crack on the guitar. I love watching the master at work. Well, thank you about that. I don't know about the master part, but we got her fixed up pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. It turned out pretty good. I'm seriously telling you, the word impossible is not used lightly when it comes to light finishes, fixing them. It's nearly impossible to fix a light finish problem where you can't tell it. It's just almost impossible. I've done it a time or two, but man, it's just next to impossible. That one's not perfect, for sure. You can still see some of it, but it's way better than it was, which if you can improve it, you're doing good on a light finish. So any improvements you can make is at least positive. There's Bill Rhodes says, good morning. Moving on down, Paul Lanier. At open mic last night and afterwards in a bluegrass practice session, the fossilized walrus tusk for nut had made the guitar sound out better. People said this who know HD28 sound. Well, Paul, I'm not going to doubt what you're saying. I don't find the nut makes all that much difference. And the reason I say that is because most of your strings are noted. You're noting your strings. So the only strings that it can even affect at all are the open strings. So I don't find that the nut end of the guitar does much. But then again, that's just me. Everybody has an opinion. In other words, I guess all I'm saying that is to protect the other people that are going to go out and try to spend a lot of money on something like that. I don't expect big changes in the sound when I change things up there. You'll spend a lot of money up there because making a new nut is a long-time project. It takes a lot of hours to get it perfect. And if you don't get it perfect, then you got a real problem. So, you know what I'm saying? That's where you'll spend a lot of money, but you don't get very much in return. Do you make any difference? It probably makes a little difference. But I think only a dog can really hear most of it. So that's not where I would spend my money if I was you. And I'm talking to the rest of the people, not Paul necessarily. I'm just saying that in general terms, I would spend your money at the bridge end of your guitar. You'll make a bigger difference in your sound there than you will anywhere else. Moving on down. Let's see. Paul Lanier, it's got some exclamation points, but I don't know if that's pointed to me or not. Okay, let's see here. Moving on down. Hugh O'Connor, thought you might have kept the dam in place until the water wheel was in place. With all that rain, perhaps it was a good idea to remove it. Yeah, and Sue was the one that kept saying, you need to remove that dam and let the water run down the flume because it's going to wash out the whole yard. Because we knew that the big rains were coming and that the spring was going to get bigger, you know. And so that's why we did that. I can easily put the dam back. It's not that big a deal. But I'd have to wait until the water settles down quite a bit, honestly. So anyway, and I was mostly done with the flume project anyway. It's done enough to go ahead and work on the water wheel now, and I may just switch gears and start back on the water wheel again specifically now. Now, the first thing I'll probably have to do, well, I don't have to, I guess, first thing, but one of the first things is to do something with the end of that pipe. It didn't work out in my favor, and so I got to do something now with the end of that pipe. I may have to weld on some pieces or do something. I just don't know, but I created more work for myself when I fixed some of that there, unfortunately. Hugh O'Connor, oh, no, never mind. I read that one. Let's see. Bill Mumbo. Paul, I used to have a chap. I showed him every... Okay. Okay, I didn't quite understand. Ronald Todd says, beautiful job on the mill race. Jerry, I think you're doing this project perfectly. Start at the water source and work your way to the wheel in the pond. Well, yeah, it needed to be done. I could have done it afterwards for sure, but I just kind of want to get it all ready, and then when I'm done, you know, and now I'll do the water wheel, and when I'm finished, I'm pretty much finished. I mean, I still could do a little more up there around the flume on the water. But anyway, moving on down, let's see here. Looking for more question marks. David Tharp. I thought I'd already got down to the live part, and we haven't even made it to the live part yet. I'm sorry. David Tharp says, Jerry, I'm old enough to remember when they put mentally ill people in the hospital instead of putting them in Congress. Ain't that the truth? Well, if you watch that video I have a link to in the description, yeah. It kind of falls right in line with what you're saying there. And, it's just such a crooked, greedy bunch of scumbags. There's no other way to say it. There's no way. You can't sugarcoat it. They're scumbags. Completely 100% scumbags. I hope they see this and hear it, because they suck canal water big time. I would love to be right in the middle of their meeting and just jump up and down on their table and tell them how stupid they are and how ignorant they are and how they should all be in jail. And I would just love to be able to have some authority over those people. I'd put them in jail just instantly. They just go straight to jail. Just can't stand that kind of crap. You know, it's just like, I don't know. Just why are there crooks? I don't know. Why are there crooks? I guess that's the bottom line. Did you guys see this? That here I'm off on yet another tangent. There was a 85-year-old lady a few days ago, I'm going to say last week, shot and killed an intruder in her house. But the way she did it's what's amazing. Now, first of all, this guy broke in with vile intentions, man. He beat her up while she's still in bed. There's blood in the bed where he beat her up. He tied her up to a chair. She's got I don't know if it's mentally or physically, but disabled child in the house. Now, she's 85 years old, so her child's got to be old. I mean, this is probably a 40-year-old child, I would assume, but he's disabled. And he's in another room. Well, anyway, this guy is after her to tell her where the valuables are. Well, she tells him that there's a safe or two in the basement. So he runs down to the basement, and while he's down there, 85-year-old lady tied to this chair makes her way into her bedroom, gets her .357 Magnum that was under her pillow, comes back, sits down. He comes up and apparently is more abusive again, telling her he's going to kill her son, or if she doesn't tell him where the valuables are, and different, whatever. I don't know the whole story on that part, but anyway, it keeps escalating. She's really worried about fearing for her life, so she hid the .357 in the couch right next to the chair where she was sitting. Well, she got her opportunity. He, I guess, turns his back or something. She grabs the .357 somehow with her hand. I don't know how she's doing this, you understand, but she does it. And she shoots the guy twice. And anyway, he returns fire, shoots her. This is an 85-year-old woman now. Shoots her 3 times. She's been hit 3 times. He goes into the kitchen, falls over dead. She survives. She's still tied to the chair. It takes her 3 hours or several hours, I don't know how many hours, but several hours for her disabled son to get to her. And he brings her the phone or something, and she's able to then call 911. After several hours being shot 3 times in the chair, tied up. And I'm going, yes, thank you. I'm not kidding you. If I knew her address, if I knew her name and address, I would send her a box of bullets. I'm not lying to you. I would. I'd go buy a box of bullets to fit that .357. Because you know what the only sad part of that story is? There's only one sad part of this story. And the sad part of the story is that she had to spend her own money for the bullets she put in that guy. That's the sad part. Holy mackerel. If she didn't do everybody else a favor, I don't know who did. This guy had all kinds of burglar kits. I can't say that word. Burglar kits in his car. He had lockpicks. He had handcuffs. He had everything. He was a career criminal. And she put him out of our misery. And I say, thank you, lady. And if I knew your name and address, I guarantee you I would send you a box of bullets. And there you go. So if anybody can find her name and address, send it to me. I will send her a box of bullets. I promise you. So that's the only sad thing in there. How did I get off on that tangent? Let's see. I bet you didn't expect to hear that today. Bill Mumbo, Smashing Jerry, loved the song. Well, thank you. Thank you. We are live now here. Walt Willard was the first one after we went live, and then Charles Rostern, and then anyway. Moving on down here, looking for question marks. Ronald Todd says, I did watch the shellac video and knew it came from lac bug, but didn't know the process of making the flakes. I use shellac a lot as a wood sealer mixed with alcohol. Time to stock up. Boy, I'm serious. When you see the process that goes through, and it wasn't exactly the cleanest environment on all of those processes, and we're eating it. How, I don't know, man. It's just amazing, just amazing. So next time you chomp down on a what do they call those darn jelly bean? Next time you chomp down on a jelly bean, just remember you're eating bug poop. Oh my gosh. Just amazing. Confectioner's glaze, that's what they call it. Sue Peel. Jerry, oh my gosh, I viewed the shellac video and it's amazing and somewhat shocking at the same time. Very interesting. Yeah, it truly was. I thought that was one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. And again, do you really honestly think that's going to continue? I mean, at least the way they do it now, there's no way that's going to keep happening for much longer. The next generation's going to say, see ya, I ain't doing that. It won't be long. Zappa, Jerry, make a mesh basket to put into the pit in front of the culvert pipe. That way you don't have to dig to clean it out. Okay. So in other words, lift the mesh basket out. Is that what you're saying? It'd have to be pretty fine mesh because that stuff fills up pretty fast. And it'd be really heavy. Trust me, you would be surprised how much it fills up. I would say, I'm not exaggerating, I don't think. I would say 3 5-gallon buckets full on each heavy rain. 3 5-gallon bucketfuls of gravel and sand and big rocks. It's a lot more than you think. Trust me, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And I don't know what to do about it. Honestly, I think the only real good option is to concrete that whole ditch line. And that ain't, I mean, what I mean is, when I say good, I mean permanent solution. That would be about the only permanent solution. And even that's not perfect because you're still going to get a ton of leaves and sticks and junk. I don't know. Ronald Todd, Jerry, if you line the ditch with riprap, it will stop the gravel from washing down the ditch. Well, maybe. The problem with anything that you do like that, unless you completely cover the rock, there's more rock. It'll fill, like, I mean, if I wanted to, I don't know how to explain it. If you did that during the whole ditch, maybe. If you put some big rock the whole ditch way, then maybe you're right. I would have to give you're right on that. It would be about the same as doing concrete. But I don't have that kind of rock, and I'd have to buy it, so I don't know. That would be expensive. But if you didn't do it the whole way, well, the gravel above would wash up, fill up the riprap in no time, and just go right over the top of it with the stuff. It would just keep coming. So you'd have to go all the way up to where the blacktop is up there. But it's an option, and you're right, it would probably work. Anyway, Ben Boyd, hi Jerry, nice opening song. Guns N' Roses did one entitled I Used to Love Her. Their version is a bit less sentimental though. Okay. I'm not going to go there. Thomas Armstrong, good morning. How does one get to your products page? Well, you just go to the website, www.rosastringworks.com, and it's right there. There's a link at the top. It just says products I use, and there's a link on the left. In other words, there's two menus. And on the either one of them, you click on either one of them, it'll take you to the products I use page. And then you just scroll down it, and you'll find everything you're looking for. Gary Cooper, shovels will do that to your hands. Yeah, well, I didn't use it. Well, I did use the shovel quite a bit with the metal detector too, by the way. But I will say again, those 2 shovels that I bought are absolutely 100% legit, man. Those things are awesome. And if you do a lot of garden work, flower bed type garden work and stuff, those are on the products I use page. I'm telling you, they would be great. You would love them for garden work. The narrow blade lets you dig really easy. And even if you got a lot of rocks, it doesn't go. This ground here is solid rock. It won't go through all of that, but it gets through better than any other shovel I've ever used. So I'll just say it that way. So if you got normal ground, you would absolutely love that shovel and that little hand digger. Now, they are heavy. I got to remember, I just want to make sure you realize they're heavy. They're not lightweight, but that's what makes them good, in my opinion. Let's see. Chipwood, here's Chip's on here. I want to thank you and Sue for your time and hospitality. Made my day and the rest of the trip more enjoyable. Well, thanks, Chip. I'm glad you stopped in. The Chip was wounded while he was here. That darn Sadie, she's a really good dog. I hate to pick on her, but doggone it, she just aggravates the tar out of me. She's trainable on some things. Like I said, she's really pretty good at finding the antler now. But you can't break her from jumping on people. That dog she just loves to jump up on you. And of course, her claws will scratch it. Well, Chip's, got that sensitive type skin, or that skin that tears easy, and she cut him pretty good with her claws. She was just being friendly. She wasn't trying to bite him or nothing. But she just jumps up on people all the time. And I slap her, try to keep her from doing that. And she's a pain. So, Chip, I'm sorry about your injury. But anyway, he says he was totally used to that because it happens to him all the time. But anyway, sorry about that. So if you come here, our dogs won't bite you, but they will lick you to death. I won't have a mean dog. That's just something I won't have. That's just me. That's the last thing you'll ever see on my place is a mean dog. David Tharp, life just isn't fair. Experience is something you don't get until after you need it. That's for sure. That is 100%. And it scrolled on me. Where did it go? I'm looking. Oh, there's Kim Willford. Jerry, you are so funny. I love your show. I love your son's show too. Both of you are very entertaining. Well, thanks. By the way, mentioning JR, he mentioned some more about the little college that Mary's going to go to. And JR said, that is the prettiest college campus you'll ever want to see. He said it is just beautiful. And he said everything about it was really cool. And he thinks that the coach that she's going to be working for is really, really cool too. And they've recruited girls from, there's one from Africa, I think, on the team. And he said another country, and I forget where that country was. And he's afraid Mary won't get any play time because, they've recruited players from all over. Even though it's just a 2-year college, it sounds like they're on the ball, So it's really cool that she's going to be going there. And the JR said the coach asked Mary what her education path was going to be. And Mary's answer was, well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do is I'd like to come back and be your assistant coach. And she goes, well, dang, we'll put you on that path. And so the coach sounded pretty cool about it. That was pretty cool. Anyway, all went well on that end. Let's see. So thanks, Kim, for your nice comments there. Gary Cooper, what are you going to use the water wheel to work on? Well, the water wheel is just mainly your first impression when you come in the farm. That's really what it is. It's just, wow, that's pretty cool when you drive through the gates, That's really what it's for. If it does anything else, that's a plus. I showed Chip while he was here my generator that I built from a washing machine. And I'm not kidding you. And Chip saw it, and he's on here, so he knows I'm not lying. You can just turn your hand like that and it'll light light bulbs. And you can light a 100-watt light bulb with the thing just by doing that with your wrist. So it's a pretty cool generator. And if it'll turn that, and I don't know if it will, I might do something with that. I might do something with a little spray, 12 volt or something, water pump to spray water in the air. I might do something like that. But that's about it. I didn't build it to, power the farm. Because it ain't going to do that. It's too small of a spring for that. The spoken song, what's your t-shirt? Oh, well, I'm Batman. Oops, it's backwards, guys. I'm sorry. I know it always looks stupid when I try to get in the camera, but everything's backwards. No one said I was Batman. All I'm saying is you never see us in the same place together. So that's the truth. You never do see us together in the same place. And I rest my case. I've got a bat cave. I've got at least one, and I think I've actually got 2 bat caves. And we think there's a possibility for a third. There's a next, like the big cave that you've seen, and it goes back, 20 yards or so. And then there's another cave to the left of that, which was the first cave I actually found, but it's all kind of caved in on the ceiling and stuff. And I tried to dig that out with the Bobcat. And then further upstream yet again, about the same amount of distance from those 2 caves, like those 2 caves are about 20 yards apart. Well, another 20 yards up the stream, there's another really big wet weather spring that comes out of the hill right there. And I think there could be a cave behind that. So I may get up there one of these days and start digging right there too. You just never know. So I may even have 3 bat caves before it's over with. Let's see. Let's see. Moving on down. Ronald Todd. Jerry, I see the mention of the med video. For some reason, my eyes are getting blurry right there. Something's getting over my eyeballs there. I can't see good. I see the mention of the med video in the description, but not the link. Oh. Well, I thought I put it in there. I'll go back and put it in there as soon as we're done. Assuming I remember, and I will try really hard. And we're getting close to done. Zappa says, Jerry, it seems anything you do to the drainage ditch will eventually catch up to you. Yeah, I kind of think so. I kind of think so. But the riprap idea is not a bad idea. I hadn't thought of that in terms. When I did, somebody mentioned it yesterday, and then mentioning it again, I kept thinking just a short distance above the pipe. But it doesn't have to be a short distance. I could go the whole distance. If I went the whole distance, that would probably work. That would be the best solution I can think of right at the moment to stop the small stuff from going in and clogging the pipe. But it could eventually catch up also, like you're saying there. So I don't know. But to me, that one there's got me thinking. Now, I might try that. All right, let's see. The last one here says the freeze. Jerry, you could, excuse me. I'm really getting kind of choked up here. You could dig a big, deep hole, stick a 55-gallon drum in it with a chain hook to it, and then you could lift it out with your Bobcat and dump it and put it back in the hole. Yeah, that is a possibility. Something like that is a possibility. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I kind of right at the moment, I'm kind of liking the riprap idea, actually. But again, it'd have to go the whole way, all the way up to the blacktop where it turns to concrete again. David Tharp says, greed in the healthcare system. Jerry, hard will do that to your hands. Hard work, I guess, is what he's saying there. Yeah, the hands are hurting, man. I'm seriously telling you, they're hurting bad. They're not hurting a little bit anymore. They're kind of hurting all the time. And like when it wakes you up, you know you got some serious pain there, because it was really hurting bad this morning. Again, for some reason, the vibration tones it down. It don't make it go completely away, but it does actually soothe it. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let that be it. Thanks for putting up with me. I probably went way over today. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, no, maybe not. It's just 9 o'clock, so it's about an hour. Well, thanks anyway for putting up with me, and hope you didn't mind all those weird stories and things this morning. We will get back to you tomorrow with something else.